recruit. It is I, Triggered. Currently, I'm on my ship, the SCF Sentinel of Steel. And I'm here to guide you new recruits into the ways of eliminating enemies of managed democracy. From the bugs, the clangers, and worst of all, the godforsaken Illuminate that dare attempted to invade our home, Super Earth. Without further ado, let's begin.
The bugs specialize in numbers. They can easily overwhelm a single Helldiver if they're not careful or don't have the right equipment to handle it. If you want to be a crowd specialist, I'd highly recommend bringing a reliable tool like the grenade launcher or the autocannon, as they are quite strong dealing with hordes with a strong area of effect between rounds. But if you don't like that, you can always just use the MG43 machine gun to deal with light chaff easily. These weapons are pretty strong for crowds, however they lack in raw power, especially when you're going up against the elites. In other words, your crowd tools aren't going to be very effective against these guys. The most common elite type you'll encounter on the bug front are known as the Chargers. As their name implies, they simply charge forth with heavy armor, meaning you won't be able to take them out with standard weaponry like a machine gun or your rifle. Instead, you'll need to use anti-tank based weaponry in order to take these guys out. I'd heavily suggest using something like the recoilless rifle. It's fairly easy to use, so there's very little learning curve with it, other than just shoot him in the head. Which I heavily suggest you doing, as it's the main way of eliminating him almost instantly, as shooting him in the head will obviously kill it. I mean, that should be pretty obvious to you, right?
Slight tangent here, Helldiver. The recoilless rifle, in my opinion, is the best of the best of ATs, in terms of functionality and ease of use. So even on the lowest of lows, if you are just a level 1 noob, a cadet, you'll have no problem using it.
Biotitans employ similar armor to their smaller, yet more heavily armored Charger brethren. However, they employ a different strategy. Rather than just simply rushing towards you in hopes of cannonballing you into oblivion, they spew out bile spew in hopes of liquidating you and any other asset of managed democracy. But they have the same weakness as any other bug. Shoot them in the head with a rocket, and they're done. Just to make sure you're using it on armor piercing mode. Otherwise, you're just gonna tickle the big guy.
This goes for all elites going forward. Shoot them in the head to make them dead. Additionally, Helldiver, there's one less elite you should be worrying about, and they usually try to hide. Here we see the immobilizing elite, Massive Impaler. The simple way of defeating them is to first either shoot their tentacles if they're far away, or if they have their face shield down, you shoot them. Sadly, this cadet simply couldn't pull that off because he didn't even know what he was going up against. But here we have Ernie, my other cadet, who's got the same kit, who knows exactly the right tool to use to defeat this behemoth. 1,000 pounds of steel. God bless Super Earth. But the bug front is not the only front we're worried about. We're also fighting against the automatons, or as I like to call them, the clangers. And to give you an idea of what exactly we're going up against, I'll show you a POV of one of my privates who's currently on the planet we're on. Oh god. I need reinforcements. Oh shit, dang. Please, I need backup now. As you can see, the bots are quite dangerous, and obviously one of the greatest enemies to manage democracy, as each and every single one of them, from the little ones to the big ones, are all a bunch of clangers.
The bot's main strategy, rather than strength in numbers, is actually through raw firepower and long-range combat. Additionally, their units are more heavily armored on the individual level when compared to the bugs. They specialize in heavy fire support, as shown here in this clip where I'm going up against one of their stronger elite forces known as the Factory Strider. On the bot front in particular, the side objectives here are certainly more dangerous and actually have to be dealt with right away, as many of their side objectives can actively impede your gameplay in very drastic ways. For example, in this clip here, we see the Stratagem Jammer, which prevents Helldivers from not only calling in reinforcements, but also using their stratagems. And as such, it needs to be eliminated immediately with extreme prejudice, either with a Hell Bomb, right after deactivating it, of course. and failure to do so will likely result in your team getting wiped or having a hard time completing the mission without the stratagems. Going back to the infantry, most of them are decently well armored and have decently strong range capabilities, meaning they'll be able to gun you down unless you're in cover. The main strategy of defeating the bots or fighting against them is to stay in cover as much as possible when fighting against them.
If they're laying down some heavy firepower, then use a stratagem to clear out those disgusting anger!
The bots also have one of the more stronger elite units, simply known as the Hulk, which comes in two categories, long ranged and close ranged. In this clip, I almost died to what is known as a Scorcher, which is a close range Hulk which will constantly chase you and attempt to cut you in half with his buzzsaw or light you on fire with a chainsaw. And the other one that you just saw for a brief moment was simply known as a Bruiser, which just likes to shoot at you until you die. So yeah. However, they have the same crippling weakness as a bug. You shoot them with a rocket and they die. Simple as that. But for a guaranteed kill, I'd suggest aiming center mass, as that will instantly kill them with a recoilless, or any other AT that you might be using at that time. Then there's the elite ground support unit, which is put on the back line of the bot front. First up is the Annihilator tank, equipped with a turbo laser and a laser machine gun, which can take you out if you're not careful. Thankfully, their turrets move fairly slowly, meaning you can actually just run circles around them if you're in close range in order to take them out. Then there's the Shredder tank, which swaps out the main gun on the top side for twin autocannon lasers, which just light you up until you die. Additionally, both the Hulks and these tank variants all have a weakness. They have heat sinks directly on their backside, meaning if you're able to flank around and get directly behind them, you can take them out using your own standard weaponry fairly easily.
Also, it has come to my attention that while I have not been able to locate the Barrager tank, which shoots missiles from above, I have been encountering a far more dangerous threat, the War Strider. A much shorter version of their much larger Factory Strider brethren. Do not be fooled. These guys are incredibly dangerous, as they launch a barrage of grenades at long range in order to flush out a Helldiver who dares hide in cover. And when they're not in cover, they attempt to shoot you down with turbo lasers in order to kill you. But they got the same weakness that all men do. Take out their nuts with a rocket, and they go boom. In other words, shoot them right in the nuts and bolts, Helldiver. That way, they don't produce any more clinkers.
The last main elite unit on the bot front is known as the Factory Strider. Hence, by its name, it is a tall, lumbering beast that is constantly producing devastators out from its underbelly. However, it has the same weakness as both the Hulk and the War Strider, meaning if you take it out with rockets fairly easily, assuming you can land approximately 3 of them, as its head armor is quite durable. I'd highly recommend using stratagems instead of your standard AT in order to take them out, as shown here.
And finally, we come to Liberty's most outrageous enemy, seen last in the First Galactic War, and now on the Battle of Super-Earth, the goddamn Illuminate!
The Illuminate's tactics employ the combination of both the bugs in sheer numbers and the bots in sheer firepower, along with a solid amount of armor to go alongside it. The Illuminate weaponry mainly specializes in plasma-based weaponry, alongside Tesla towers and whatnot, to electrify or deep fry any Helldiver or citizen they might find. Additionally, they also use plasma shielding in order to defend themselves. It's pretty strong against anything that is energy-based, however is quite weak against explosives and ballistics. It appears they still haven't learned from the Galactic War that throwing rocks at a problem will eventually solve that problem.
It should also be noted, Helldiver, that they also turned our citizens into beings known as the voteless, zombified human beings that have lost the right to vote. By Liberty's grace, it's horrible. Ugh. Even worse, they even turned them into an abomination known as the Flesh Mob, a massive creature with an enormous amount of HP, capable of taking most hits from any weapon for a extended period amount of time. You want to take these guys out? Use high damaging weaponry that can kill them fast, like flamethrowers, rockets, or high explosive weaponry.
As for the standard Illuminate, like the Overseers, they come equipped with breakable armor all across their body, meaning if you want to actually deal proper damage to them, you first have to break through that layer of armor in order to get to the squishy bits. In total, as of right now, we have encountered exactly 3 different Illuminate variants. First up is the standard Overseer. It is an elite unit of the supposed Illuminate Horde, and it comes equipped with a plasma staff, which it uses to fire plasma bolts at long range. However, if you're within melee range, they will attempt to swing at you and basically wombo combo you until you're dead. Additionally, they also come equipped with an energy shield, capable of blocking most attacks with relative ease. Then there's the most annoying version of the Overseer, simply known as the Elevated Overseer. Up next is the Elevated Overseer, which comes equipped with a plasma rifle, which it fires in 3-round bursts. It will attempt to close the distance until it reaches within 10 meters of the Helldiver, which will attempt to maintain while also gunning you down. Additionally, it will also throw out a grenade, depending on where the Helldiver is, in order to kill them instantly. Well, I say that, but it has a timer, meaning these squids are quite stupid. But they do fly around a lot, which is kind of annoying as they are quite hard to hit, as they are very, very evasive. However, if you manage to get the drop on one and shoot it directly into the jetpack, it will kill them instantly, because as it turns out, they didn't realize that the jetpack would be a weak point. Kinda dumb on their part, huh? Then there's the Crescent Overseer, which kinda operates like a mobile artillery platform. Although I guess it would be more akin to a mortar, so I guess they're just mobile mortars. Regardless, they fire indirect artillery fire directly towards the Helldiver in order to eliminate them. However, if you get within close range, they'll attempt to shoot at you with a more focused shot or directly deck you in the face. However, their favored combat is directly long range and far away behind cover. They have the same stats as all other Overseers with in terms of armor, meaning in order to deal with them, you'll need to be able to penetrate it fairly easily or break the first layer. All of the Overseers are pretty annoying to deal with in my opinion, however, none of them can actually call down reinforcements. That is reserved for one single member of the Illuminated faction known as the Watcher. These flying fucks constantly fly around the map whose sole purpose is to spot Helldivers. That's it. They can easily be detected by giant glowing flashing lights that go between purple, blue, and seemingly teal from time to time. They do have the ability to fight back against the Helldiver by shocking them, but it isn't really effective, and overall these guys are pretty weak. However, their main strength is the fact that they call down reinforcements every 5 fucking seconds and can seemingly target you behind walls. Just side note, that probably is just a bug and not a feature of the game whatsoever. Here we arrive at the Illuminate's elite forces. First up is the more iconic member of their Illuminate horde, known as the Harvester. This 3-legged tripod comes equipped with a plasma shield, which it activates when it detects it's in combat. Additionally, it also fires a high-powered laser at long range, which can easily disintegrate a Helldiver if they're not careful. However, just like most things in life, the best and fastest way to eliminate it is to shoot it with a rocket. Of course, after popping its shield, by either taking out its horns when the shield is down already, or by just shooting at it until the shield goes away. These guys' main strength is long-range combat, however, like I said prior, they're quite weak to rockets.
If for whatever reason you did not bring a rocket launcher with you or any form of AT, do not fret. As long as your gun has medium armor pen, you can target the leg joints near its torso in order to take it out. You just need to spit the lead of democracy into its leg joints until it is dead. Up next is Bonfire, one of the most dangerous ones, as will typically easily blindside a Helldiver that decides to not look up in the sky. This is known as the Stingray. The Stingray's main function is to glide around the air and attack enemies on the flank by hitting them with plasma strafing runs. They specialize in hit and run tactics, however, their light speed also means one thing, Helldiver. Things only move fast when they know they can die easily, and by God, the Stingray can die to most weapons that have medium armor pen, or let's say a rocket. All you need is a well-placed shot from anything, like a rocket launcher, and you can take these guys out no problem. Just be mindful when you do take them out, they have a tendency to crash directly into you, so be careful.
Then finally, we have the largest member of the Illuminate frontline faction, simply known as the Leviathan. The Leviathan is an utterly massive creature in Helldivers. They come equipped with 4 plasma launchers, along with plasma bomb bay doors located on their wings on the underbelly. They will simply attempt to target a Helldiver and attempt to gun them down at long range. However, they move incredibly slowly, meaning you can actually take them out using weapons like a recoilless rifle or a spear. Note it will take a lot of ammo to take these guys down, as they have roughly 15,000 HP. Moreover, if their plasma cannons hit you directly, it will disintegrate you, killing you instantly. Notably, they also appear to similar to a trilobite, which is pretty cool, I guess. If you want to take these guys out as fast as possible, I suggest targeting one of the wings on the wrong side of the body and attempting to punch a hole in it, where you can shoot into the much weaker side of its interior and eventually take it out. On their own, they're pretty dangerous, but can be taken out with plenty of teamwork. However, during an illuminated horde or an ambush or whatnot, they are incredibly dangerous as they can easily blindside you and break up your wondrous formation that you have made with your fellow Helldivers.
And with that, Helldiver, I believe that concludes this mini guide and everything you need to know. If you want more info, go to the wiki I left in the description right here. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you on the battlefront.